No snake has set foot in Zootopia in forever.
Keep the music playing, 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 playing.
There's a snake!
Stop in the name of the law!
Snakes aren't the bad guys. I have to set things right. And when I do, my family will...
Bosses will be support. And finally, Nick and Judy. But when he wanted to tell them their mission, they weren't there. Clawhauser comes out of the office and tells him. This made Bogo angry. At the port, Nick asked Judy to stick to the plan and calm down. Everything would be fine. At that moment, Anthony sees them and tells them that this was a restricted area and it was best to leave. But seeing that they were a very strange couple, meaning interspecies relationships are canon, he becomes curious. Anyway, Anthony asks them what they were doing there, and Judy spills the beans, saying she's an inspector and that he's possibly bringing in illegal things. The anteater isn't interested and asks them to leave. Nick appeals to his heart, saying they're there because his small son suffered an accident on his two paws, and his biggest dream was to get an autograph from a train conductor. He hasn't been the same since the accident and hopes that someone in Anthony's position could sign his cast. That would make him very happy. Anthony falls for his trick, and while he was signing the cast, Judy tries to open some containers. When she had already done so, Bogo orders them to retreat from that location. This reveals their identities, and Anthony tries to escape. A pig in an illegal car asks them to move, but they steal it. While chasing him, they tease them and orders them to leave, as they were ruining the pursuit. After getting past them, the hippo officers try to stop them but are unsuccessful. But here we see that Gary the snake was in the van Anthony was in. By accident, Anthony knocks himself out with a sign, Judy, to stop. In the end, she manages to stop the car and smashes it against the statue of Zootopia's founder, the former Mayor Lindsley. In the end, the Z is a reptile's skin. At the precinct, while waiting for the reprimand, Judy watched a conspiracy beaver YouTuber, Nibbles Muplatic, saying that it was strange to find snake skin in that subject's car. Furthermore, snakes haven't been seen in Zootopia for over 100 years, and this was odd. When she finished watching the video, Nick told her it was weird that she watched that kind of thing. Bogo asks them to come in and reprimands them. This case was solved by the Z-Bros. Even so, Judy shows the evidence she collected, the snake skin and the materials, but Bogo doesn't care. They were a danger when they were together. Besides, because of them, a little animal got stuck in a trumpet. Nick wanted a copy of the video, but Hopton said that having the two of them as police officers was a mistake. Nick replies that maybe she was wrong or jealous because the car she was driving looked like her mother's large body. Bogo asks them to leave and instead of yelling at them, speaks to them in such a calm way that it appeals to Judy's heart, saying that the bad decisions if they continued this way, he would separate them. Nick jokes that he made these jokes as a defense mechanism. Despite the great service provided to the city, now they had to turn down their intensity a bit. And now he had a new, very important mission for them. And if they didn't comply with what he was asking, he would have to separate them. In a Getting to Know Your Partner class, the advisor welcomes them and tells them that the police officers present must adapt to their partners despite how different they are. An armadillo starts pointing at his partner and the advisor asks him to stop. Then the elephant gets scared by his mouse partner. Now they must welcome two new members, Judy and Nick. Judy said it was a mistake to be there. Also, today was the first month of being partners with Nick, and it was a mistake that they had been sent to this place. The therapist said that Judy was very impulsive and was uncomfortable because her partner was a fox. Nick laughs and she replies that he acted this way because he had certain childhood traumas. Now she asks for volunteers to express the new teachings. A deer and a badger step forward, and seconds later, the badger starts to choke him. The advisor tries to separate them, but can't. When they go to their locker, the Z-Bros try to bother Judy. Nick grabs a soda and nearly kills his desk. Judy gives him her manual, saying that to get along better and avoid problems, he should read it. As he walked, Nick runs into the deer and the badger, and they attack each other again. Meanwhile, Judy, while on the train, sees that her last incident was on the news. In the end, we see that Nick's house was located under an elephant gym. He puts his pen in its place and the elephant's stomps make it fall, but he immediately picks it up. When Judy arrives home, her parents call her and ask her how she was doing. They found out about her last failure and wish her luck despite having failed. And her grandmother asks when she will return to her city, as it was time to reproduce and have a family. And this isn't bait, she really says this. Feeling bored, she tries to read the self-help book, but first turns on the TV, sees the news, and also discovers that there will soon be a party hosted by the founder's descendant, Milton Lindsley. Something I forgot to mention is that Zootopia has walls that disperse the climate across the different districts. From Bert discovers that this was the van Anthony tried to escape with. In addition, there was a brochure showing the Zootopia book. Judy starts investigating and finds a video from Nibbles in which she said that something bad was going to happen soon. Something very, very bad. The last time a snake was seen was when a homicide occurred. A snake killed a turtle, and since then reptiles have been exiled from Zootopia. Now maybe that snake they found would seek revenge against Lindsley. At home, Nick was watching movies starring Brian. Judy calls him and tells him what was happening. Now she needs his help to solve this case. At that, it's a delivery, but it was actually Judy. She was asking for his help as she knew something bad was happening and it was best to solve it. Seeing his house, she sees that it was a mess and to Mr. Big. Photographers tried to take their picture, defeated, to which the horse begins to count. 1 and 2. Milton asks him again if he wants to be the third one. They will use their influence to find them, detain them, and if possible, kill them. And if he doesn't comply with what he's ordering, he will also die. With no other option, Brian orders them to be detained immediately. In Mr. Big's car, Judy's parents are worried and try to contact her. But Judy doesn't answer. Even so, they send her messages telling her to be careful and that they are very worried. Nick takes her phone and tells her that phones are the first thing they track, so he breaks it. Now they are in trouble for sticking their noses where they shouldn't. In the trunk, the bears take them to a secret hideout. But in reality, they were making women's clothes and handbags there. Now the new leader of the organization was Mr. Big's daughter, Frou Frou. He introduces himself with his daughter and says that his daughter has great ideas for the business. Now their organization is dedicated to selling clothing. At that moment, Sweeta greets him and they order Nick to kiss the ring. Nick refuses, but finally does it. The granddaughter asks if they weren't going to freeze the enemies today, since Judy saved Frou Frou. She gives them money, IDs, and transportation. This way they can leave Zootopia far behind. Judy wanted to stay and continue investigating, but Mr. Big gives her valuable advice. If they want to keep living, they should go far away from here and not mess with the lynxes. They are powerful and corrupt. Like Latin American politicians, they make anyone who threatens them or gets into their business disappear. Nick gives her a chance, and as they get in, Nibbles says they are about to start a very secret and very crazy mission with the great YouTuber Nos, whatever it is. Now they would go to a hidden district full of marine animals. Here we see that there were hippos, dolphins, seals, and so on. This place was peaceful. Animals live here who don't care about wearing pants, but they must be careful with the words they say. By accident, Nick offends a dolphin and then a clown sea lion. He gave him a coin, but coins were forbidden here. The medium of payment was fish. Passing through one of the ports, Nibbles rings a bell and Bob greets them. After a strange moment, Nick leaves his hat and Nibbles asks him if he has seen Jesus. He says yes and takes them with him. As they sailed, Judy said that this was a strange way to celebrate their anniversary. Bob hears this and puts on romantic music, while Hopton finds Nick's hat. The clown sea lion tells him where they were and his partner gives him a coin. The animal gets angry and we see that Gary and his mysterious partner were watching them from afar. Arriving at the reptile hideout, Nick said it was best to go to Koala Island and drink piña coladas. This place was fun. Furthermore, he confesses that he is afraid of reptiles. Judy mocks him because that is very racist. And by accident, Nick falls and starts pulling Judy's ears. At that moment, they arrive at a bar where the reptiles lived. Before entering, Nibbles tells them, "If Jesus gives you food, you must eat it." Some were eating flies, others were shedding their skin, and others were climbing onto Nick. By accident, a lizard's tail falls off and Nick tries to help it, but he was very disgusted. In a secluded place, Jesus the basilisk was, and Nibbles said that his friends were here for answers. But Jesus tells them to eat first and then he would talk. They take a worm with great disgust and try to eat it. Judy a small one and Nick a large one. When they eat it, they discover that this was all a bad joke by Jesus. He said he didn't even eat worms. Taking the book, he analyzes that this book could only be seen by snakes. It was a very special one. Furthermore, there is a type of snake that can see hidden drawings and colors. This book has something very, very hidden. He doesn't know what it is, but the only thing he knows is that his people lived in Zootopia until the homicide happened and they were banished. Now they live in small communes and soon this place will be devastated and a new habitat will be established. This way, the lynxes will become richer. Those who reside here will leave and will have nowhere to live. At that moment, the police arrive at the scene and Jesus asks them to follow him. As they do, Judy asks him, why is he helping them? Jesus replies that he knows they will solve this case and make his people live in peace. No oxygen in this tube. In the end, Gary enters the red tube and Nick tries to stop Judy, but is unsuccessful. Him if he was okay. He says yes. He has a lot of water and hopes she apologizes for being so indifferent. But Judy doesn't. The best thing now was to climb, but seeing that the snake forgot his fanny pack, Judy checks it and finds a box of wet matches. At that moment, 2 mountain goats ask them if they were lost. If so, they can call the police, but they ask them not to. One of the goats gets stuck and spits on Nick. Judy recognizes these flowers and they tell her that there was a lodging for couples here on the top of the mountain. Before leaving, she wishes them luck on their strange honeymoon. And as they climbed, Judy was happy to get more evidence. Nick mocks her with his pen and they both struggle. This causes the pen to fall and be destroyed. Judy gets angry and Nick worries. But as they climbed, what they didn't know was that Hopton was following their trail. He sends 2 ram officers while Judy finds a trail of scales. Climbing up, she finds the place where Gary slept. Not far from there, a motorcycle arrives at the scene. But as Nick walked, the ground breaks and he discovers the police officers chasing them. At the same time, Judy finds several for said venom. Arriving at his personal store, Gary plays with Powart's things and said that mammals have very curious things. After that, Judy asks him how they met. Gary shows her a letter. He recently sent a letter to the Lynx family telling them to tell everyone the truth. This way they would solve this problem in a more peaceful way. But they didn't even read it, since the heavy and boring tasks fell to Gary. He said he wanted to make a difference and show what his family was really like. So they became partners and friends. Now with his help, they would discover the truth. They apologize for what happened to his friend. Having the diary, they will discover the hidden location where the snakes previously lived. On the cover are different districts, but upon being expelled, the corrupt lynx erased colors. So at a campfire, Gary sees the hidden drawing. More than 100 years ago, Gary's grandmother lived in Zootopia. But she realized that the animals who lived there were not happy since they were not in their habitat and the climate was harming them. So she had an idea: create walls and divide the city so that different species could live in peace. But for her idea to be completed, she needed a businessman to help her with her project. His grandmother patented her book, but the businessman was corrupt, so he erased the original patent and put his name on it. This way no one would know the truth, and he would become richer than he already was. The housekeeper turtle discovered the truth. He framed Gary's grandmother, and she was pursued. The reptiles were banished from Zootopia, and all of this was so serious that the climate of their district was deactivated. With no other option, the reptiles had to escape, and so that no one would know the truth, he erased that district from the map. The lynx thought he had gotten away with it. Grandmother found the turtle. She had hidden the original patent. The grandmother hid it in her house, and the only way to expose the lynxes was to show this patent. Gary discovers that the snake site is near the lynx mansion and near the tundra walls. Judy looks at the map and sees that there was a lighthouse, and she remembers that in the photo of the grandmother, there was also a lighthouse. So the only way to find the district was to light the lighthouse, but they must pass through the In prison, the inmates told Nick that he wouldn't last a week in that place. Nick has arrived at his cell and tries to convince Hopton, but his partner tells him that they have already found the rabbit. Nick asks to be released, but when things couldn't get worse, he discovers that his cellmate was Nibbles. She said that this place was perfect, since it had free food and a place to sleep. Nick didn't care about all this. Nick tries to escape, but Nibbles was making a lot of noise. In his vulnerable moment, he tells her that Judy is everything to him, and he doesn't want anything bad to happen to her, and is afraid that the lynxes will find her and kill her. Out of nowhere, Nibbles hugs him and tells him that everything will be fine. Turning around, she confesses that with the broom she had, she made a key with which she was able to free herself. As they escape, Anthony rats them out and the police chase them. Hiding, they run in his carrot pen, confessing that he loved her, and those words are recorded on his pen. But now they have many things to do. They must capture the 200 inmates who escaped, and they will start with Bellwether. And that's how the movie ends.